Welcome to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. Today I'm joined by Daniel Yoo, a guy who went from managing 800 million in client assets as a financial advisor to building FinMate AI, the first AI note taker made specifically for financial advisors. Daniel's been on both sides of the desk, coaching high net worth clients through life's biggest financial decisions, and now coaching his own bootstrap startup through the vast, wild world of AI. We talk about why he left the comfort of steady advisory work for the turbulence of tech and how FinMate AI is reclaiming hours for busy advisors, and why he believes ease of use beats feature overload every time. If you've ever wondered how to carve a defensible niche in a crowded AI market, or what it's like to bet your career on a product you wish you had years ago, this episode is for you. We'll dive in, but first some business. This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster, where founders go to get booked on podcasts that actually move the needle. If you're tired of shouting into the void with cold emails and social posts, try something warmer, a real conversation on a podcast your ideal customers already love. At Kitcaster, we book founders, CEOs, and thought leaders on top shows in their industry so they can share their story, build trust, and turn listeners into leads. Whether you want to grow your audience, close more deals, or just get better at telling your story, we've got the relationships in the process to make it happen. Go to kitcaster.com and apply to work with us. And if you're a founder, mention the show for a special offer. That's Kitcaster by Moburst. Okay, everyone loves to talk about vision, the pitch, the funding round, but you know what gets zero love? The actual product build. That magical, terrifying phase where nothing works, the docs are out of date, and you've asked your dev team, how's it going, for the 47th time today on Slack. That's where Code Story comes in. It's a podcast for startup founders who know that building the thing is the thing. Hosted by Noah Labhart, Code Story goes deep with tech leaders who've been through it, shipping real products, surviving messy launches, and figuring out what actually works and when you're on the edge of chaos. If you're building now or ever plan to, you'll want these stories in your earballs. Search Code Story wherever you get your podcasts or visit codestory.co, because founders talk vision, but builders tell code stories. All right, so Daniel, you were saying before we were so rudely interrupted by the internet lords that you're getting a good 8 hours of sleep a night. Is that pretty average for you?
That's not average. That's not a good days. I try to have a lot of good days, but on busy days, obviously 3 or 4.
Yeah. And then how about weekends? Are you taking weekends off or are you working straight through?
I've done the whole work straight through weekends before. It's not very sustainable, so I've decided not to no longer do that anymore. It's not very good for a long-term business strategy.
It certainly is not. Okay, I appreciate that because I'm the same way. In order for me to get the most creatively, I have to have the proper amount of time off, and I also have to get great sleep, food, water, all that taken into consideration. Now, what I've noticed is that, and we're about to talk about your amazing productivity tool, is the promise of the productivity tools to me, I always felt like it was like it's going to give you time back. But what I found is the opposite. It actually just makes you 10x the time that you're in. So like what I've experienced is what I'm calling the Monday ramp. So on the weekends, what I'm doing, I'm going to try shoot bows. I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to be outside. I'm going to be away from the screens.
Okay.
And what I've noticed is that like Monday, it takes me some time to get the momentum back up because of all these tools are so incredible and you can get so much done at the same time that it takes a while to get back into that rhythm. Are you finding a similar pattern Monday?
Yeah, it does take me some time to warm up, but unfortunately or fortunately, most of my busy days tend to be on Monday. And so I just have to hit the ground running because, my calendar is booked full of people I'm talking to. So, yeah.
Yeah. When you're looking at your calendar, like how do you like to stack your calls and things like that, going in between deep work or like calls with associates or whatever else you have to do? Do you have kind of a methodology?
Yeah. So early mornings, I try to keep blank. And then later in the afternoons, I try to keep blank. So the middays where I'm most on top of things is when I want to meet with folks. And then I usually schedule in maybe 15, 30 minutes in between just so I can digest, process, and then get ready for the next one. I've done the whole back-to-back thing. I still have to do it sometimes, but it's not optimal.
It's rough. Yeah, the back-to-backs are rough, but that's a good entry for your product because some of us are out here doing back-to-backs.
Yeah.
So tell us about FinMate. Now, everyone probably has a robot that joins them during calls now. Tell us how FinMate came along and how it differentiates.
Yeah, very good question. So we launched back in May of 2023. We were the first AI note taker specifically built for the advisors use case. My background is I've been a financial advisor for a good number of years. Used to work for Access Equitable and then a senior advisor for TD Ameritrade. I did about 800 million of client assets. Was interested in tech, and so I took a master's program at Hopkins while I was at TD using AI to do stock price prediction modeling. Then when Schwab bought TD out, I decided to kind of go explore the tech world a little bit more and started FinMate. And so, yeah, we launched back when ChatGPT was at its like 2.0 stage, right? Da Vinci, Ada, that kind of stuff. And then I was realizing that the notes that the existing note takers were generating at the time were not good enough for compliance records for the advisor. And so wanted to create a additional layer to do more specified processing. Obviously, the field has evolved rapidly since 23. Now, as we're sitting here in late 25, there's a ton of these things out there now. And I think the key differentiators for all of us in the market really is just ease of usage and integrations into advisors' tech stacks. For me, I try to over-index on ease of usage. I'm not a tech guy primarily. I'm an advisor first. And given my understanding of who my coworkers were back then, I need to make this as easy as possible to use. So that's what we're trying to index in on.
I love it. What was the origin story? How did you decide to build this product?
Yeah. So initially, we weren't looking to build an AI note taker. That kind of came along later. Initially, what I saw as a gap in the market in the B2C space was there was a lot of robo advisors built for the growth investor, but not a lot of resources for the income investor. And so this was back when the Feds didn't raise rates to kind of the highs, and it was at a near zero interest rate environment. And so we were building towards creating a stock to income producing portfolio, kind of like a Robinhood for income investors or a Betterment or a Wealthfront for income investors. And then the Feds raised rates to 5%, and stock dividend for income investing no longer became kind of like a needed thing. And so we decided to look for other things to work on. And, thinking back to my days at TD, we had pretty high volumes. I was in charge of about 800 clients, 350 8-year clients that management wanted us to contact every quarter. It's a lot of calls and a lot of notes, right? And so realizing, this was a big operational drag on my life, I figured that most other people had similar problems. And so that's why we came out with it.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, the note-taking apps, I mean, it's hard to even remember what it was like before that. Speaking of taking notes, do you have a pen and paper near you? Do you take actual notes?
I do at times, but usually if I'm on the computer, it's usually typed up small notes. And the state of transcription technology right now is that live transcription isn't that good. And so the best transcriptions will come from post-processed things. But that doesn't really help you during the meeting when you need to remember things from a little bit earlier. And so I think it's still a good practice for people to take kind of self-reminder notes for during the meeting itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I use Fathom, I use Firefly, I use Granola.
Grain.
Talk to me as I'm a financial advisor. What are the specific things that FinMate is going to do better than those things?
Yeah, so for us, we built out templates, pre-built templates built for the advisor use case. I've ran these meetings for most of my career: intro meetings, prospecting meetings, discovery meetings, review meetings. And so out of the box, we have all these templates built for that use case, as well as some ways to customize it out. We're not asking people to do prompt engineer on their own. And then a lot of the other tools that we're deeply connected to, so all the CRMs and planning softwares and things like that, we're pushing data into advisors' core systems. I have no delusions that a note-taking tool should be a centerpiece in an advisor's tech stack. And so we're designing it so that it's a lightweight, easy operational piece of the pie and just pushing things where it should go. And that's pretty much what we're focusing in on is that usability. Obviously, advisors' main job is to talk to people, and so I want to get people back in front of people, not kind of staring at software.
Yeah. And what's the kind of roadmap for the live transcription? There's a lot you can do. I've seen people that will do kind of sales coaching.
Mhm.
Right? You know, Fathom, for example, will say if you get a big red bar, it's like, Ryan, you've been talking too much, you know,
Yes.
or it'll give you the percentage of time talking. I've seen a demo where it'll actually correct your posture. So it'll like remind you to sit up straight, you know.
Yeah.
What are you looking at as far as like live interaction? Do you think that there's a future there?
I think there might be a feature there, but that's kind of not the direction we're going into. Again, my view on FinMate AI was I had a very specific problem, which was operations are taking up way too much time, and I want to build my financial practice, right? And so coaching, we have again post-processed coaching, right? Data, and so we have some folks using us to train their junior advisors, but we're not really going after a lot of the um, live feedback. Again, partially because that's only useful for the virtual meeting. Whereas my vision for the future, I think, is that I think a lot of advisors will start coming into the office, especially because if you've seen some of the new AI tools coming out now, you can spoof a fake AI person that'll join a video call for you, right? And so if you're not out there meeting people in real space, I feel like advisors' jobs are going to be at risk unless they start meeting people back in person. So um, that's why I'm not really interested in developing out a lot of live things. Also, our client base, 70% of the meetings that are processed on our platform are for in-person meetings, not virtual meetings. And so it hasn't really made sense for us to go in that direction.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So I'm seeing a similar trend kind of across categories. It's like in real life is replacing, you know, online. I think that there's kind of a hangover from work from home. You know, some of us been doing it for so long. It's like, oh yeah, it's natural.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for many years, off and on. We had a HQ for a while. Well, I mean, for several years, and I'd split the difference. It's comfortable to me, but I do find myself then going out and doing networking events
Yeah.
because not only is there kind of a trust situation, but there's just also the camaraderie of meeting somebody new. Maybe it's why podcasts are fun. You get butterflies a little bit. You get to shake somebody's hand.
Yeah.
So for FinMate, if we're sitting down at a table, what's the use case there? Would you just kind of open up your laptop and just run it?
Yeah, so we have a web app and we have a Android and iOS app for that you can lay on your table and then do the recording that way. Or some people want to use a completely offline solution, so they have one of those old journalist recording devices, and they'll just upload the audio to our system and help us process up the audio that way.
Yeah. So cool. I love products like this that are a ubiquitous use case, which I think note takers are, but then finding like the market that you can really make it for somebody specifically. It's really, really smart. And I think you see that now where people are creating wrappers around GPT or different things just to like target one particular audience. Because ultimately like familiarity and like ease of use is going to win the day.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you guys developed the product. How many people are on the team?
We got 8 people on the team now. We keep it
Cool.
pretty light and small. I personally, having lived in Silicon Valley for a while, I'm not the biggest fan of private equity and venture capital, and so we bootstrapped this thing, and so we enjoy keeping it that way. But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, wrappers are ubiquitous, and so I'm, looking into the future. I think there will be a large amount of companies that end up dying because they're just wrappers. There's no moat in wrapping, right? And so I think it's on
That's right.
everyone to be able to kind of think about what that next step is and not just kind of remain static as just a wrapper. I think the AI industry is very different from all other industries in that it moves really, really quickly. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens in the next 2-3 years. I think there's going to be able to die.
Yeah. Cool. Bootstrap, respect. I love that. How much did you invest personally to get it from zero to first customer?
Um, quite a bit, right? Because uh, it's not really the tech cost; it's like the cost of living costs. I think most of it is the fees, right? Um, the beauty of software business is that unlike a lot of kind of real space business, there's not a lot of capital investment required to get the actual product up and running. But it's just a lot of just living expenses is what we invest back into it.
So did you completely leave your financial practice
Oh yeah,
and then
absolutely. Yeah.
just went straight? Yeah. Yeah. Was that, you think that was a necessity? What spawned that decision?
Oh, I mean, so I did have some offers when I left TD to go join another RIA or a investment firm, but I've been doing it for 7, 8 years at that point, and um, after a while, the conversations kind of become the same, right? My major client base was the high net worth base, so about 1 mil to 3 mil of investable assets, nothing crazy, pretty standard, right? And the planning is pretty similar, right? Retirement planning, projection, tax planning. It just kind of got very repetitive, and I felt like I had no control over my product offerings, and so I really wanted to try something where I could build something, ship it to people, and see how people reacted, and so I took a massive, massive pay cut initially, leaving TD Ameritrade. I actually joined another tech startup because, again, I've only ever been an advisor before. I'm like, well, I'm going to take a big pay cut and consider it my tuition. And so joined a tech startup for about a year, learned how it works, and then left and then started FinMate.
That's a heck of a difference.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how was the turbulence switching over? I mean, like you said, the other job, very important, very necessary, but probably repetitive, maybe a little boring.
Yeah.
And then you go into the throes of startup, sink or swim, feast or famine,
Yeah.
right away. How
Yeah.
was the transition?
Oh, well, before the transition, most of my hair was black. After the transition, I have about 30, 40% white hair.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's been choppy, but that's just how this industry goes, I suppose.
Amazing. And it looks like from the website, you're saying you guys have 500 plus customers. I'm sure that has gone up,
Oh
which is
yeah,
incredible. How did you find, let's say, your first 10 customers, and then how have you kind of expanded from there?
yeah. So we went to a couple of conferences. We had some articles published. We did some reach outs. Dan Solon, I think, was the first person to give us any exposure. And he also sent me his book, very nice of it. And so he actually wrote the first article about us back in 23. And so that's kind of how everything got started. Was that article? People started reading it, noticing it. It was published, I think, on Verify. And then some of the more tech forward folks kind of contacted us and started using us and started paying for our services. And then it just kind of grew from there. Yeah, didn't really spend too much on marketing. Again, being bootstrapped, we have very limited kind of a war chest and like where we deploy capital. And so a lot of it is word of mouth, relationship building.
Amazing. And how's churn?
Churn, I mean, in the beginning, a lot less, right? But as competition goes higher and higher, I think we've seen a bit of an increase in churn. But I think that's just the nature of a blue ocean turning into a red ocean, right? So back when we started, again, there was no one like us. And then now I think there's like 20 of these things, and like there's a new one coming out every other month. So yeah, that's why I predict there will probably be a bloodbath. I think, most of the people coming out now, they're all coming out with like 5 million in their pockets that are fundraised. And I think they're going to have a hard time fighting kind of market share because there's just so much capital flowing in from the venture markets.
Yeah. Does that make the devil's money a little tempting when you see all the new players into the marketplace?
No, actually, it's the opposite. I'm glad we didn't take any money because I don't think like 80, 90% of these guys will hit valuation, right? And so we have some opportunities to pivot and try and experiment because we are fully self-owned. And we can pivot maybe towards less hyper growth and go more of let's just build a solid, stable business. Because we don't have this gun to our heads that says you need to 10x or no one's going to fund you again. And so we don't have a crazy burn rate. We don't have a very tight, runway. And so, I'm enjoying a lot of the freedom that comes with being self-owned. And to be honest with you, even with all their funding, like we're still considered like one of the top note takers in the space, right? And so
100%.
I'm not really worried. Yeah.
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 Well, and then, you're creating a great audience. So the opportunity for additional products is right there as well. And I mean, why it's such a sticky product too, because once you get used to an interface, boy, it's hard to like go to something else. It just becomes irritating kind of to have to change.
Yeah. That's where
Okay.
I think the
Oh,
AI.
go ahead. I'm
Sorry. I think there's a bit of a lag time here. I think that's the direction that the AI industry will end up going, like across all verticals. I mean, I have some folks in the e-commerce space, AI space, and there's always pressure on both sides, right? So people with a little bit more capital, they can copy whatever you're doing and develop really quickly. And then there's the people coming up behind you that has, more bootstrappy, and basically everyone's copying everyone really quickly. Development times are coming down with the advent of AI tools, right? And so I think everyone's feeling the squish, no matter B2B, B2C, retail, e-commerce, financial advising, doesn't matter the vertical. And so I think the key difference will be like, for those companies that can come up with ways to create moat in a space that's really hard to create moat.
Yeah. How did you land on your pricing model? It looks like the starter's $85 per month for 20 hours, and then you have unlimited hours up at $135 per month. How did you land on pricing?
Good question. So back when we started, again, there's nothing really we could compare ourselves to except for the generic note taking space. And those generic note takers got millions and millions and millions of funding, right? So we're like, okay, obviously we can't compete with that. And so we just took a look at some of the other core softwares that advisors are using, namely CRM pricing, financial planning pricing, things like that. And I had some friends from TD Ameritrade that have left and joined RIAs, and I was just asking them, like, hey, what do you think is a reasonable cost for something like this? And so that's when we came up with our $150 standard pricing mark. And then once all of the folks that are copying us came out, they came out, with just under what we were hosting. And so it's like, oh, okay, I guess this is a reasonable pricing if everyone's pretty much copying our pricing model.
Yeah, as they do. Oh, nice. So if I just kind of took 500 customers, I know you got more than that, multiply it times $85 per seat.
Yeah.
It's about 43,000 MRR. Is that a fair ballpark where you guys are at revenue wise?
That's a good ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice, man. That's fantastic. It's funny too. I mean, it's company's 2 years old, but you're like, oh man, way back in 2023, time does move much faster now, doesn't it?
That moves absolutely at a ridiculous breakneck pace. And for someone coming from the financial advisor industry, like this is absolutely insane. Like I knew tech was fast, but I think this is faster than normal tech too, right? And so coming from the very slow, methodical, like nothing ever changes financial advising space, like the biggest excitements were E-Trade and Schwab and whatnot came out with like online trading, amazing, right? Like 10 years ago. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, AI moves and everything changes in the span of months. And so we have some things that we're going to come out with in the next couple months. That's just completely different. My view on the note-taking space is it's pretty much a commodity at this point. So we'll try to build the best potato, but it'll be a potato at the end of the day. And I think it's not a very interesting place to be trying to sell like, oh, our potatoes are 10% tastier, right? So yeah, hopefully we'll have something out that'll be very, very exciting.
This episode is brought to you by Moburst, the AI-first growth engine trusted by iconic startups like Calm, Robinhood, Reddit, Uber, and Google. Moburst is a digital full-service mobile-first marketing agency that helps companies to scale and become category leaders. Whether you're finding product market fit or ready to accelerate growth, Moburst delivers creative, data-driven solutions that help with scale and efficiency and impact. At Moburst, we're not just guessing what works, we're predicting it. As an AI-first agency, Moburst uses cutting-edge tools to analyze user behavior, adapt creative in real time, and uncover hidden growth opportunities. The result, marketing that's faster, smarter, and built to convert. From early-stage startups to global brands, we've helped hundreds of companies overcome complex challenges, unlock new audiences, and optimize every metric that matters. At Moburst, we believe that creative thinking, advanced technology, and data are the core drivers of success at scale. If you're serious about scaling your business with precision and purpose, it's time to talk to Moburst. Visit moburst.com and let's build something category-defining together. Totally. Okay, I want to do the founder challenge question.
Okay.
Brought to you by kitcaster.com. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of categories for the question. You ready?
Sure.
Okay, we've got scandalous and risky, or tough and unfiltered, or explosive and intriguing, or philosophy and self-reflection.
And I choose one of those four.
Choose the category, I'll give you the question.
Okay, let's do philosophical.
I like that. Okay, what do you still crave even after hitting a major milestone?
In business. Oh, interesting. I'll tell you what I miss the most. Coming from the advising space is even after we're starting to scale, I miss the personal relationship development between me and clients. Because when you're an advisor, you're very much involved in the client's lives and like understanding, what their fears are, what their desires are, what their goals are. And you're being a consultant, yes, but you're also being kind of a coach to your clients. And being in the software industry, I think, is much more. And so again, right, software business, you got to hyperscale, you got to expand out, cut costs and things like that, which is, understandable, right? This is why the tech industry has made tons and tons of money in the past 20 years. But I do really miss that kind of personal touch. And so the direction that I'm taking my company now with this new upcoming kind of program product roadmap that we're going for, it'll be a lot more in-depth and personal, where we try to understand people's businesses a little bit more granularly and deploy things that'll fit their use case very specifically. So yeah, I guess that's what I'll say is I create kind of that personal connection with clients that I used to kind of take for granted.
You do a lot of validation calls with clients to see how they're using it, get feedback, stuff like that?
We do. Yeah. We have people that we're talking to regularly, but I think it's a little different than I think getting down to like their personal finances.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you're dealing with people's personal finances, like you're in the middle of someone's relationship and their marriage, you're like dealing with
divorces.
Like, how do you want to live when you retire? What's going to happen when you die? I mean, these are like high stakes conversations. I could see how that'd be like really satisfying.
Yeah. And, it's very emotionally heavy sometimes, right? I've had, clients that are divorced, and I have to help kind of deal with like freezing all the accounts and, figuring out how to do disbursements and things like that, right? It's pretty heavy stuff. But at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I feel like I did something pretty valuable and worthy. And so I do kind of miss that.
Yeah. What's the hardest truth you've had to accept about yourself as a leader?
Oh, very good question. I think the hardest thing for me is, one of the big lessons that I'm learning through the FinMate business is that, I'm not a very experienced kind of business person, right? I'm an advisor, right? I'm a coach, right? Jumping into something like a tech platform has been, as cliched as it's drinking water from a fire hose, right? There are so many things that I didn't understand or consider, shaping the market, shaping, visibility, just a lot of things that go into running a tech business that just I have no idea, and I'm still very much a novice at. And so kind of just accepting that I am a novice at the tech business building side of the house, and just trying to hyper index on where my strengths are, which is, having that wealth of experience as a former advisor. So
yeah, I feel the same way. And I think probably everybody does at this point, to the testament of that speed and pace that everything's moving at. Like everyone's kind of a novice all the time, because you have to ask, like, am I using this tool right? Could I be doing this better? Is the way that I'm doing this the way I should be doing this? And it's just over and over again. It puts us all in this kind of beginner mindset, which is, it's destabilizing and kind of scary, to be honest.
Yeah. The other thing that's really scary for us is like, we've taken the contrarian stance, right? So we're doing full data deletion. We're doing no data pulling, right? We're doing no fundraising. Most other people are kind of running in the opposite direction that we're running. And so like, we just constantly have to ask ourselves, are we insane or do we have something here? Right. And coming from that background of like not an experienced business kind of creator, business builder in terms of tech, that's always been, a looming thing in all of our minds. It's like, are we doing the right thing? I think yes, still, which is why we're still doing it. But, it's just one of those things where you just have to accept that, hey, maybe we're wrong, but maybe we're right. We'll just have to see where that leads us.
Amazing. All right, now it's time for the lightning round. Are you ready, Daniel? Is this coming at you too fast?
Hey, let's do it. I've been told I talk too fast, so hopefully that'll help me here.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Okay. Perfect product market fit in a tiny market, decent product market fit in a massive market.
My preference?
Your preference.
Perfect product fit, tiny market. Again, it's more personal that way.
Agreed. Lightning fast growth spike with high churn, or slow growth with deep retention?
Slow growth, deep retention.
I love it.
Yeah, relationship. Yeah.
Okay. There's AI that's 99% accurate, but takes 5 extra seconds to respond, or AI that's 80% accurate, but instantaneous.
Takes the 5 extra seconds.
Yeah. Now, what's too many seconds?
Ooh, I think it depends on the use case, to be honest with you. But my concern with the lower accuracy, higher speed, again, this is why we don't do the live transcription stuff, is
Yeah.
the usability, the usefulness kind of decreases. And especially if you're thinking about it as a data pipeline, you need that front of the pipeline to be as accurate as possible, right? And so like when someone gets an output from AI, it's not just going to sit there, like they're going to use that for something else, right? And so if you're starting the degradation in the middle of your pipeline, by the end of it, you're going to have a lot of mistakes. And so I think, yeah, just take a few seconds, let it process.
The hallucinations and lying from LLMs, it's wild that we just accept that. I mean, it's certainly gotten better over the last 5 years, but still, it's like, man, it makes up news stories. It does all kinds of stuff and presents it so convincingly. But 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
What am I doing? Sitting here waiting?
I mean, I guess it depends on what you're using it for. Like, are you just using it to chat with? Then I would understand why 5 seconds is a nightmare. But like, if we're processing out, information to be fed into your other core systems, just wait a few minutes. It's not crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, the compliance for your industry is obviously first and foremost the biggest priority. Now, what do you do guardrails wise when you're integrating AI?
Yeah, so a couple things
is there considerations there?
Guardrails, yes. There's a couple ways to view guardrails. Number one is within the AI processing itself, right? And so, I'm sure you've seen kind of the buzzwords like chain of thought, have it self-check. And so there's layers like that. But then there's also just the human liability aspect of it, right? And so in our industry, the thing that gets audited is the client books and records, right? The client CRMs, things like that. And so what we're telling all of our advisors is like, hey, this is AI outputs. Hopefully it's pretty good. What you put into a CRM, you are not liable for it, right? So make sure there's a human in the loop step that someone is ratifying and verifying whatever information gets saved.
Yeah, 100%. Nice. Okay, couple more questions here. And Daniel, I really appreciate your time. If you were entering college now as a freshman, what would you study considering the future that we're already living in?
Oh, yeah. I had this conversation with a lot of friends. I studied economics and genetics in college. I double majored. I've been coding since elementary school, but I realized I hated debugging, so I ended up not studying computer science in college. If I were to go back, I would probably add computer science, take out one of the other two, and just tell myself, in a couple of years, AI will come and help you debug things, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Do you think there's an advantage to doing it from scratch?
Building from scratch, you mean?
Yeah. Well, not using AI to debug it, actually having to go in and check your work.
If you can't figure it out, then yes. But I think the beauty of AI is that it takes a ton of data and then synthesizes it out into some high probability action items for us to take, right? And so I think there's no harm in having AI check your work, not necessarily change the code, but say, here's the areas where it might be getting it wrong, instead of me having to go line by line by line by line and try to figure it out manually. So I don't really think there's too much value in not having AI just give you a first pass.
Yeah, totally. You double majored in economics and genetics. Is that what you said?
I did, yeah.
Cool. What's really exciting to you in genetics right now?
Oh, I mean, back when I was in college, the big thing that came out was CRISPR-Cas9 out of Berkeley. So I went to Cal. And so that was like the start of like, hey, we can identify specific areas and make precise cuts in a gene sequence. And so I think, for everyone, it's the idea of gene editing. We can cut out a lot of mutations and a lot of kind of genetic diseases. And so I think that's what everyone's kind of going to be looking for, is just, fixing out some diseases that way. Hopefully it doesn't go full dystopian, and, I'm sure your audience can imagine the full dystopian possibilities, but
it's not like, it's not like there's laboratories where people are creating novel coronaviruses. That would be insane.
Yeah. Who would do that, such a thing? Who would fund such a thing?
Yeah, exactly. Cool. It's amazing that you got a small team. You don't do a lot of marketing, but you're out here carrying it on your shoulders. Why is founder-led marketing important choice for you?
Again, going back to like who I am, who we are as a business, right? We're not guys that are out there creating, serial entrepreneurship or pump and dump, companies every 3 years, right? We want to be more personable. We're an advisor-led company. And so we want to showcase that kind of human side of the tech AI business first and foremost. And so that's why I'm out here. That's why I'm talking to people. Just because, like, listen, like I was in the seat for many years. I think, I some insight into probably how everyone operates. And so that's why we're doing this, is we want to index on our strengths.
Yeah, love it. For founders that are looking for a project, looking for an idea, what's a project that you think could make $1 million over the next 12 months?
$1 million over the 12 months. Any requirements for foundational domain knowledge, or no? Just something that anyone can pick up?
Yeah. Or if there is maybe foundational domain knowledge, like if there's just an idea swimming around your head that you're like, this is a good idea.
Let's see. I think there's a ton that can be done in the consulting space with AI. I think AI is coming out way too fast. So if you become an expert in the space and be able to provide real actionable value, I think people, kind of older business leaders, will be willing to pay a premium. So probably something along those lines.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. It's interesting to see, because a lot of the agentic support that people are creating, in really getting invested heavy in N8N and tools like this, it's like, how much of that's going to be really relevant in 6 months? It's moved so fast that you might build all these workflows, and then, OpenAI launches a browser and it just predictively knows what you're trying to do and creates software around it in real time while you're doing it.
Right.
That's got to be coming, right? Who's working on that?
Well, like you mentioned, N8N, Pipeline, I think it's called. And there's a couple other like workflow processing folks. And then you got some of the older players in the space, in the workflow processing space. Gosh, why am I blanking on this? Zapier, I think, is probably developing something similar. But, at the same time, like if it's just $1 million you're talking about, and like $1 million a year in revenue, that's just a decently running business, right? And so I'm sure there's people out there building out Zapiers for kind of small, mid-sized businesses that could be earning about, $1 million a year, depending on how your contract pipeline looks. And so, I don't think that's going to go away.
I'd love to hear from folks. If somebody's out there doing a, 7-figure annual run rate with a N8N or Zapier consultancy, I would love to interview on the podcast and just hear how it's going. I'm really fascinated to see like what people's pain points really are, because I think there's a lot of businesses that might be reaching towards agentic support when they don't have like Calendly and they don't have like FinMate AI. It's like, I think there's a lot of out of the box solutions that business owners could use before they really get too into the weeds.
So, I mean, that's kind of what we're aiming for, is the thing that we're looking at internally right now, is to provide that kind of agentic solution for people. But like you mentioned, most people their businesses are not ready for this pipeline. And so what we're offering them is a custom build out that fits their use cases well. Again, because we're coming at it with both AI knowledge as well as with the domain specific advisor practice knowledge. And so we will be able to build things that that will actually help people, and not just another shiny tool in the toy box.
Yeah, love that. Cool. It's been awesome. We got one more question for you. If you could live in any historic era, except for now or the future, where and when would it be?
Any historic era? That's tough. I enjoy modern medicine very much. Maybe somewhere in Venice at the height of kind of the Doges would be interesting. I think enough economic prosperity to have decent healthcare.
Like pre-Spanish Inquisition
era. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Right.
I love it. Daniel, it's been fantastic. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me at finmate.ai, FINMATE.ai, or if you want to reach out to me and have a chat, it's DANIEL, Daniel, at finmate.ai. Happy to chat when we're chopping up about any kind of AI stuff, even if you're not interested in any note-taking services.
Amazing. And we're both talking about events in real life. If you're ever in Denver, look me up. You got a friend in Denver.
Perfect. Will do.
Hey, founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out aiforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, launching something new, or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit aiforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for Founders. Now back to the show.